Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call the meeting of the Richmond City Council for Monday, March 25th, 2024 to order. I have a motion on the minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Madam Clerk, agenda additions and deletions.
Thank you, Your Worship. There is an agenda addition. This is for item 7. It's the Economic Development Strategy Report. There's an addition to CNCL 43. This is a table regarding the work plan, and the following groups for public engagement have been added: Chamber of Commerce, Steveston Harbor Authority, farming groups and co-ops, trucking and transportation groups, and Chinese business groups. In addition, there is an agenda deletion, and that is item 12, and that's the low-end market rental program report. And this report has been moved to the next council agenda of April 8th.
May I have a motion on the agenda accordingly?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor, any opposed, that's carried. Okay, we have two presentations. The first one is from Hub Cycling Education. We have Rose Gardner and Devin Cairns from Hub Cycling, I am told.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Council, yes, we have representatives from Hub Cycling here tonight to present to the city an award for the 2023 Cycling Education Championship Award. And this is in recognition of the city's contribution to cycling education programs at the local schools and also throughout the community. And with that, I will pass it off to Rose and Devin.
All right.
If you could get right close to the mic,
Yep,
please.
absolutely.
Yeah, move it in.
We are delighted to present the Bike Award for the 2023 Cycling Education Champion to the City of Richmond for its outstanding efforts in expanding cycling education. Congratulations.
Since 2020, the City of Richmond has provided fully funded comprehensive cycling education to every elementary school in Richmond. And in that time, over 5,500 grade 6 and 7 students have participated. And last year, you expanded cycling education to adults by supporting Hub's newest streetwise cycling education center here in Richmond. So we request the Mayor's presence to accept the award.
Well, thank you.
Or we can just pass it over.
Just throw it over. I'll come out in just 1 minute, but I just want to reflect that what you're doing and what the city is doing, I think, is very important. Bikes are more prevalent now than they were before, and it's going to increase with active transportation of one sort or another. And so it's always more important. Every year it gets more important that we have the proper education programs in place. And if you reach the kids at a grade 5, grade 6 level, before the bad habits are ingrained, I think it's all the better. So thanks for everything that Hub does, and thank you for the award.
You're welcome.
Someone has a camera? Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. The second presentation is on the Gateway Theatre's annual presentation, and we'll call forward Jane Fernyhough, Chair of the Board of Directors, and Barbara Tomasic, the Executive Artistic Director. Ladies.
Thank you, Mayor Brody and City Council members. My name is Jane Fernyhough, and I'm the Chair of the Board of Directors of the Richmond Gateway Theatre Society. And with me is Barbara Tomasic, our Executive Artistic Director. I'd like to take a moment to thank my colleagues on the board for all of their work this past year. And I'd also like to acknowledge the work of all the Gateway staff and our volunteers. Gateway has a large number of supporters from across the community, but first among them is the City of Richmond. For more than 40 years, the city has demonstrated a commitment to arts and culture by investing in Gateway. We very much appreciate the commitment and also the recent allocation of funds toward the technical equipment upgrades in the main stage theater, specifically our new projector that has already gained much use and great feedback from audiences. Now I'll pass things over to Barbara to tell you a little bit about the past year at Gateway.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm so proud of the work we are doing at Gateway to reconnect with the community. We are pleased to see patrons returning to the theatre in all its forms, its shows, our academy, and our community rentals. I'm going to tell you a bit about the last year. In January 2023, we rang in Lunar New Year with families with a live play reading and a lantern-making activity after the show. Our Studio B show in April was a beautiful ceremony, Prophecy Fog, by renowned Indigenous artist Janie Lozon, and it reminded us of our responsibility to the land and its care. And our season's final show on the main stage was Hey Viola, a musical that celebrated the life of Viola Desmond and her contributions. She was a civil rights activist and is now on the $10 bill. Our 23-24 season opening celebrated the Mid-Autumn Festival with another play reading and crafts and mooncakes in our lobby. For Culture Days, we collaborated with the Jade Music Festival, and for our traditional holiday musical, we produced Cinderella. It was well attended both by critics and patrons, and we were so proud to receive the Ovation Award for Best Professional Production in Vancouver. And I should click the button. There we go. Sorry. Gateway is committed to community outreach. Every year, we work with Success, a not-for-profit group that supports new Canadians in their transition to Canada. Students take a theatre tour and they read the play that is currently in production. Many of the attendants say that this was their first time in a theatre in Canada. We're also committed to supporting new artists, and last year we produced a workshop of Kowloon Bay by Giovanni C., which we hope to present on our main stage in 2026. Our Academy in 2023 delivered more than 490 hours of theatre education in singing, dancing, and acting to over 140 students ages 6 to 18. We also work with Richmond secondary schools to learn about Gateway and theatre. Students see a show, they take a tour, and they participate in a talkback with staff and artists as well as a class. This year, many of the students returned as volunteers to Gateway Theatre. We have a robust rentals program, and our community rentals are almost up to pre-pandemic levels. Our community partners are a huge part of what we do at Gateway, and we are so proud to show their work on our beautiful stage. We completed our last fiscal in June 2023 with a surplus due to COVID funding that was continuing through that year. Those additional funds allowed us to plan for a smaller deficit than anticipated for the current fiscal. Across the sector, audiences are slow to return. They have developed post-pandemic habits, and also they're affected by the increased cost of living in the Lower Mainland. Younger ticket buyers are looking for varied entertainment, so we are focusing our marketing towards single ticket sales instead of subscriptions. For future technical upgrades, city staff are working with Gateway to prepare and submit a Canada Cultural Services Space Fund grant. Sounds like we're going to space. In 2023, this program was oversubscribed, and on the advice of the grant office, we plan to submit for the 2024 fiscal year. This grant may fund up to 50% of the project, which is what we presented in our capital budget. I'll now pass it to Jane to talk about our restructuring and leadership update.
Thank you. So in June of 2023, Camilla Tibbs, our executive director, left Gateway to pursue a different career. Her 8 years at Gateway created a stable, successful organization. Our search for a new executive director did not produce a suitable candidate, but through board discussion and consultation within our sector, we restructured the organization to create a new leadership model. This led to the hiring of Barbara Tomasic as the executive artistic director, and the creation of the position of general manager and a restructured position of executive producer as support. Susan Shank is our new general manager, and she's here with us tonight.
Our current season is going splendidly. We just closed a successful run of our Studio B production, Jade Circle, a multilingual in Mandarin and English performance that explored themes of language and family. Our final show is opening on April the 12th. It's Baskerville, a Sherlock Holmes mystery, where 5 actors recreate the famous story of Hound of the Baskervilles and play over 40 characters. And our 24-25 season is our 40th anniversary season. Yes, it's really exciting, and we hope to see you there. Thank you again for your time tonight and for your generous support.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that very complete presentation. We'll turn it for questions. Councillor Au.
Thank you for the contribution to the cultural events in the city. I visited the Gateway Theatre for at least 12 times last year.
Oh, thank you.
Some for your production and some for the other committee events. Now, in your budget for this year, you have a planned deficit. Can you explain a little bit further?
Yeah, last year, like, as I said, we received a large grant that we had actually planned for a deficit last year. Ticket sales are very challenging right now, but we were able to, like other companies across our sector, we had a lot of funding, so we got quite a large surplus at the end of last year. But things are still slow to pick up, so we are now going into the deficit that we had planned for last year.
Okay, so do you perceive that this will be a structural deficit in the future, or it's only temporary?
Hopefully it's only temporary. Yeah, it's hard to say right now. I will say that other theaters are closing stages at this point. They're canceling certain parts of their venues because it's difficult to so we've been adapting, which has been really great. We've been changing our programming in order to attract new audiences, and one of the things we're noticing is a lot of younger families coming to the theater. So next year we're hoping to program theater for young audiences, which we've never done at the Gateway before, in order to rebuild that foundation.
And again, from an audience point of view, I would say that the updates or upgrades that you have made in the last 2 years has been very, very good. As an audience, I really like it.
Thank you.
But I also noticed that you are looking forward to even more upgrades, right?
Theater upgrades, technical upgrades?
Yeah.
Yes, we are, yes.
Okay, so do you think, because I think anyway, it's a 40-year-old building. So
That's correct.
for a longer term vision, do you think of, any beyond renovation, but rebuilding or relocating the theater, the bigger one,
I would say, and
any
I've had
vision
this,
like that?
thank you. I've had this conversation with city staff as well. I think one of our biggest challenges at Gateway now is visibility, and that's one of the things we're focusing. Our technical upgrades are things like sound, and we have equipment in there that is 40 years old. So that's part of the upgrade. But one of the other challenges is that our newer generation in Richmond doesn't know where we are. So we are talking about new signage and those sorts of upgrades, making the building really visible. We had a beautiful upgrade to our building a few years ago, thanks to the city. So we have a new bar. Both of our bars have been upgraded. So the interior is going quite well. It's mostly our technical upgrades and just things around being seen as a really important cultural hub in Richmond.
Okay, but I think perhaps, for the longer run, we have to look for other
I think our upgrades are always continuous because technology is changing so much. And I think that's one of the things that will be addressed in this next technical upgrade.
Okay. Once again, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. And just before you leave, why don't you just tell us, you've got one more presentation this season?
Yes, we do.
The name and the dates?
Yes, it's Baskerville, and it's a comedy, actually. It's the Hound of the Baskervilles told in a comedic way. And it opens on April 12th, and it runs for 11 shows. I believe it runs till April 21st. Yeah, it's going to be great.
So they can obviously drop by the ticket office and get tickets. Is it possible to go online and get tickets?
Yes, you can get tickets at gatewaytheatre.com, and it's right on our homepage there. It says book tickets. And I believe some of you have been invited as well. So we hope to see you at the theater.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to resolve in a committee of the whole to hear delegations on items on the agenda? Moved and seconded. All those in favor, post carried. Are there any parties here who wish to delegate on items on the agenda this evening? Anyone? We have a motion to rise and report. Moved and seconded. Councillor Day, is that something about rising and reporting? Oh, okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. That brings us to the consent agenda. We have the receipt of the committee minutes, the economic development strategy update, the homelessness strategy, the 2023 update, the amendments to the building regulation bylaw, Richmond Heritage Commission 2023 annual report and 2024 work program. We then have the housing agreement bylaw to permit the city of Richmond to secure affordable rental units 6851 and 6871 Elmbridge Way, the scooter pilot project update, the water conservation related to single pass cooling systems, award the contract for security guard services, and another one for the on-call plumbing contractor services, and finally, the solid waste and recycling regulation bylaw and amendment. May I have a motion to adopt those by general consent? Moved and second. Okay, we'll go to the various speakers. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. Number 7 is the Economic Development Strategy Update, and I just want to thank Council for allowing the friendly amendment, which includes consultation with the Chamber of Commerce, Houston Harbor Authority, farming groups and co-ops, trucking transportation groups, and the Chinese business groups. If we're going to consult regarding our strategy for the future, I think it's important to consult all the parties that are involved. Number 8 is the homelessness strategy. And I had a question of staff. On page 54, it says that in 2023, there were 619 stays in the homeless shelter. And what's going to happen to them after April 15th when those overnight accommodations quit? That's page 54.
Through your worship to Councillor Day, staff are currently preparing to bring forward a closed report in the coming weeks with additional information.
In 3 weeks?
No, in the coming weeks.
The coming weeks. Okay, because it's the end of March and it's like 3 weeks away when it closes. So hopefully we can come up with some creative answers. And then I noticed on page 78 that there's advocacy for shelter. What actions have we taken to get an additional shelter number 2?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, staff have been in discussions with BC Housing with regards to funding for the operation of an additional shelter or expansion of Richmond House emergency shelter, and those discussions are ongoing.
Okay, so do we expect some kind of answer back in the next few months, or what's the plan?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, we don't have a specific timeline yet, but we'll inform Council as soon as we have more information.
And my last question is, we had made a motion a while back. Council voted to write a letter to the province asking for secure care, which is not really available. So people that are a harm to themselves or others would have the ability to take them and put them into care so they can get the help that they need. Has we heard back from the province on that at all?
Through your worship, I believe, I'm not sure if there's someone from Intergovernmental Relations here who may be able to answer that question. I do not have that information.
Okay. Yeah, so I would, if Intergovernment is here, I would like to know the answer if we've heard back. So the statistics are quite scary. We went from 85 homeless to 162 homeless in 1 year. That's a 91% increase. And most of the homeless have lived in Richmond for 10 years or longer. And what's really concerning is that 1/3 of those homeless are seniors who just simply can't afford their rent anymore. And at the drop-in center over here at Brig House, we in 2022 had 2,600 visits. Now we have 7,300. That's a pretty staggering change. 54% of the homeless cannot afford housing. 84% of them have health concerns. And I'm really concerned after April 15th, if we don't have a place for them to go, that we'll end up with another encampment. The next thing on the list is number 9, which is the amendment to the building regulation bylaw. kind of dry stuff to read, to be honest. But the thing I did pull out of there is if you're building a house, you've got 2 years to build it. And so I will be coming to council in the near future with an amendment that if you're building a house in an existing neighborhood, it must be built in a more timely fashion. Because there are people who live in older neighborhoods where literally every year there's another house being torn down and built, and another, and another. We can imagine if each one takes 18 months to 2 years to build, you never get any peace. So I'll be bringing that motion forward in the coming weeks. And number 11 is the housing agreement to allow for more secure, affordable housing units. And I'm excited about that one. It's a, what is it here? It's 321 units in the LADA development, and 35 of those are Lemur units. So that'll help a lot for people that are looking for something more affordable. Number 13 is the e-scooter pilot project. Well, I think we kind of have to drop the name pilot because we're extending it for 4 years. I think we're well past the pilot stage. The reason we're doing this is the provincial government has extended their pilot project also for 4 years. But I would like to see there be a phone number on various signs throughout the city for complaints, because we have heard that some scooter riders ride far too fast, and it scares the bejesus out of people who are walking down the walkway. Number 14 on the list is the water conservation related to single-pass cooling systems. I did not know what that was a week ago. I now know that the cooling systems that use water use 1,600 cubic meters of water a year. So what we're doing is creating the ability and education to allow people to use air-cooled systems, which will save all that water. But we're not going to mandate it like Vancouver did and make a ban on the current systems. We're just going to bring it in slowly, and we're doing this because vendors and businesses have asked for it. So that'll be a positive thing. And number 15 is the award of a contract for security guards. And this is kind of cool. We're actually going to go with the BC Corporation of Commissionaires, and they hire ex-police officers, firefighters, people in the military. So they have a very unique skill set, which I think will really benefit the facility here in Richmond. And they also pay a living wage, and that makes me very happy. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the award of on-call plumbing contracts. We're actually going to have 3 different companies taking care of our plumbing needs. So there's always someone on call that can take care of the issues as they arise. Thank you very much, Mayor Brody.
Okay, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much, Your Worship. I'll be brief. There are just a couple of items I'd make a comment. I'm glad Councillor Day brought up and added the issues that I brought up at committee to the list. So I greatly appreciated that. A couple of them that were missing, Your Worship, on the economic development strategy. It's a good report, and it's a way to go. But we need to look at building and construction within the city of Richmond and attracting and retaining businesses. I think that needs to be looked in there in great detail, along with the small businesses and mom and pop shops. We've got a lot of mom and pop shops and mom and pop restaurants and whatever within Richmond, and we need to get their points of view. What I'd like to see coming back, Your Worship, is see the employment area where all of these businesses are, because anytime you have employment, full employment or a good employment within the community, you have a healthy community. If you have unemployment, you don't have a healthy community. And we have our big drivers, but we got to look at our little drivers, because there are many people working for less than $20 an hour. And I think we got to, and I'd like to see a report back on each segment, because the issues in each one of these businesses, there's no one thing fits all, Your Worship. We've got to look at the individual issues. You know, if you're running a restaurant, mom and pop shop, for example, or a dollar store or whatever, you're having a lot of different issues than KPU or YVR. So I think, and staff, I know will take a look at that, and I appreciate that. So I look forward to it, because I think it's very, very healthy on it. I just want to make a couple of comments on the e-scooter pilot project, Your Worship. I support it, but safety is paramount, and it's ironic that you just received an award that we have a cycling education in the schools. Well, maybe we should have an e-scooter cycling education within the schools, because right now we need a clinic There are lots of issues. There are many, many students out there on sidewalks, on roadways, without helmets. They don't know the rules of the road for their own personal safety and how to maintain their side. They come with these big bikes and they go 50K an hour. That's a little bit different than the 3-speed that I once got way back when I rode my bike. They got a little bit faster. Remember, speed kills. And it depends. You don't have to go 90 miles an hour in a car. You want to go on it. So the other thing, Your Worship, on this and the update is to look at head injuries. We can learn a lot from sport. They're talking about concussions, the tremendous amount of discussion with regard to concussion. You fall off one of those e-scooters or whatever without a helmet, we can have lots of issues. And I think we're going to see more and more of them. And I'm not so sure that the minimum age to rent a scooter from Lime is 16, but I'm not sure that's held to. So to me, Your Worship, I'll look to see how this pilot project goes. I think we look after our own, regardless of what other levels of government do for us and whatever. And we provide our own signage that's large in our various places. Because remember, we also have pedestrians walking along that way too. And I think it's important. So we want voluntary education, but I'd like to see this actually get into the schools on it, and also put out in our community centers for education with our seniors that have these scooters. The other thing, Your Worship, just quickly, is the homeless strategy. A good report, a great report, in summing up what we're going to do, but we need to, in terms of addition to the strategy, if we could, is it's got to be action orientated. The best part of it was the 5 strategies and the implementation and how we're going to combat it. It's very, very key. And in here, we're talking about homeless people that have lost their homes or whatever. We got to talk about the street homeless. And with that comes mental health issues and social services issues, drug counseling, etc. We've got to partner with other organizations if we're going to talk homeless here. It's not just putting a building over or a domicile for these individuals, Your Worship. It's all encompassing, and the report is extremely good in terms of stepping up to it. But on our page 53, providing the pathways out of homelessness. Well, you can have a building, but if people don't want to go there, we have an issue. We've got the building, but no takers because of some of the issues that are not addressed as well. So I think it's got to go hand in glove on it. But I support everything that's there, and staff, it's a good report. We just got to keep going in the right direction. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Heed.
Thank you, Chair. My comments are related to the e-scooter program. I certainly appreciate what Councillor McNulty has brought forward. Those are significant issues that need to be addressed. The safety is paramount here, safety not only for the riders of these type of e-transportation systems, but certainly for the other people on the road, the pedestrians, and certainly some of the vehicle traffic out there. So I agree we should remove the word pilot from this. I think they're here to stay for a period of time until something else comes forward to replace them. But given the fact that the province is now going to be engaged, and this is what I'm picking up from committee, that the province is now going to be engaged more so in this pilot program going forward. And I think it's incumbent upon us to ensure that there's compliance, not only related to the age limit, the speed of these devices, but certainly the most important thing is wearing the helmets, because our compliance rate is so low here in Richmond, and I think we've got to do whatever we can to improve it. So I'm in support of us looking at alternative modes of transportation, but at the same time ensuring that we have the safety measures in place. So I'm hoping that staff will work diligently to have the province more engaged on those educational programs or seminars that we need to put in, whether it's in our school system or some other system. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I have a few things I'd like to speak on, but I'll start with this e-scooter pilot program project update because it's been touched on already. And I do have a question to staff. At the Public Works Transportation Committee, we asked about the RCMP enforcement efforts and what was referred to as the positive ticketing program. I don't know if the OIC is on Zoom available or if anyone else is able to give the update. If not, it might still be in the works and come as a memo in short time. But just thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I have been informed that we don't currently issue any positive tickets. Instead, when people are not doing the correct thing, we talk to them and we educate them. So there's no tickets. It's more of a warning, but not a positive ticket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So is the follow-up on then, is positive ticket program relate to something else then, or?
That through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that's when people are doing positive things. So instead of doing something negative, is to positively reinforce the behavior.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks for that. I believe we still might receive a memo in relation to this, or no? Because I know we asked that of staff, but.
I can take that back and, yeah.
If there's anything else to report, that'd be great. Thanks. The next one I will touch on also comes with a question. This is in relation to item number 10, the Richmond Heritage Commission Annual Report and Work Program Budget Allocation. I was just looking at my notes the other day, and in 2022, the Sea Island Community Association asked for some assistance to have some of YVR or some entity on Sea Island to help preserve Burkeville history. And when I looked in the annual report plan, there was nothing there that I noticed that related to Sea Island history.
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, I'll have to take that back and look into it. There is certainly a request from other societies for funding, but as you see in the report here, funding the $5,000 is allocated at this point.
Okay, great. And that's my only question there. Your worship, just a few comments then on some of the other items that have or have not been touched on yet. Okay, I'll go with the homelessness strategy in the update. This is the 2023 update for the 10-year term. I think there's going to be more highlights to come in future years. I think on page 66 and 67 of our package, it highlights the 2 new permanent homelessness outreach workers that we have funded with the budget going forward, and also 4 new bylaw officers, the change to expand the hours of operation and predictability of the extreme weather shelter being open not just for extreme weather conditions, but for the whole winter and beyond timeframe. So I think that is a great change that was made during 2023. And I think we can only further improve upon the work in this strategy. I'll comment on item number 11. I was hesitant on supporting this or not, but why not support affordable housing units at the Landa development? I was opposed to the Landa development when it came in its entirety back November 14th, 2022, because the low-end market rental unit percentage was so low. It's around 10%. And at the time, felt like it was being rushed through so they could get that grandfathered lowball market rental component, where if it was a month or 2 later, they would have had to give 15%. So we would have been able to get more. That doesn't result in me wanting to vote against getting these. So there we are. It's on the consent agenda. Moving to just a couple more here. Or maybe last one. The solid waste and recycling regulation. This is item number 17. I valued the pilot project that we did with commercial businesses so that they could learn how to customize their waste stream into the recycle systems and hire certain contractors, because every business produces a different composition of waste. And so what this item is here, this amendment bylaw, is really to transfer those 54 businesses that came on to our pilot, and now they'll be part of this business education and advisory program, which I would hope we get even more businesses to learn and do better when it comes to reducing waste generation. So with that, I'll support everything on the consent agenda. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Howe.
Your Worship, I have questions on a few items. The first one is number 7, Economic Development Strategy Update. Thank you to the staff for a very comprehensive report, and I also think it's timely for us to have a new strategy. Now, I understand that it will take time to develop a new strategy, and 2 years seems to be a long time, reasonable but long at the same time. And I believe that some of the issues that we have right now, which are ongoing, should be addressed as well. So I'm particularly concerned about 2 issues, which are being in the the advisory committee's report, which is on page 49, CNCL 49. Transformation of at the top of the page, transformation of industrial and agricultural lands. So I think we have a problem or crisis, in the making on industrial land. And I believe that if we don't address it sooner, maybe in 10 to 15 years, we have the crisis like what we have today in housing. So can staff, and I know that the staff will have a further report to us sometime later, but can you give us some kind of update right now? So what is the situation? How have we been addressing the shortage of industrial land?
Through the chair to Councillor Au. So yes, there's certainly a shortage of industrial lands across the region, and Richmond is no exception. So Council has taken action in the past through the Industrial Lands Intensification Initiative that was endorsed in early 2021. And that looks at protecting existing industrial lands and also intensifying the use of what we have. So allows folks to build higher, reduces parking requirements, also expands building site coverage outside of the city center. And we're seeing good, good uptake of that initiative to date. Now, in terms of what the Economic Advisory Committee has mentioned here, so I think that's about exploring future opportunities. So they're certainly aware of the Industrial Lands Intensification Initiative, and certainly through the strategy we could explore the future. Also, I would mention that in terms of the industrial land vacancy rate, so that's something we track closely as an indicator of sort of how we're doing in Richmond. So in Q3, it was at 1.2%, and in Q4, this is all last year in 2023, latest available, it was down to 1.1%, so slightly edging downwards from Q3. It's up actually from Q1 and Q2, which was when it was at 0.5%. So we are seeing a little bit more vacancy in Richmond. On our industrial land, although it's still well below a healthy market. Right. So certainly it continues to be an issue that we would be looking at both now and in the future strategy.
Yes, as I said, I'm concerned. And also I know of cases which the companies or the manufacturers, they have to leave, or they're being, persuaded to leave because of the land shortage. My second question is also on the same page related to entrepreneurship. And I know that there's parents saying that they were disappointed that when their kids graduate from universities or in colleges, they have to leave Richmond, or they have to even leave the country in order to find a good job. So I think perhaps promoting young entrepreneurship might be the way to go. So again, I just want to know some updates in this area from staff.
Through your worship to Councillor Au, so the city has an ongoing partnership actually with the Young Entrepreneur Leadership Launchpad, YEL. It's a registered charity in Richmond and works both here and elsewhere. And what that is basically an experiential accelerator for high school students. And they help with leadership and entrepreneurship development opportunities for those students. And the city supports that. through connecting those students and that program with Richmond businesses. And we facilitate tours of Richmond businesses so they can see sort of what the opportunities are, others who have done it right here at home. So they can also see that as a future opportunity for themselves. And also so they can get connected with our business community right here in the city. So that's something that we could certainly continue to do in the future, to explore through our future strategy as we look at entrepreneurship and innovation more broadly as key areas of growth and potential for the city.
Yeah, but I hope that perhaps the city can take a more active role in promoting young entrepreneurship. 2 years ago, when I attended the FCM conference in Regina, and I noticed that the city was very active, and they have a program, a partnership with the university and with a local bank. And they developed a number of projects which were very successful. So I think perhaps, we can look into what other things that we can do to promote this kind of activities. So thank you very much. Once again, thanks for a good report. The second topic I want to touch on is the e-scooter, item 13. Now, I noticed from the minutes of the Public Works and Transportation Committee saying that the minimum age to ride an e-scooter is 16 years. So is it the same for e-bikes?
Through your worship to Councillor Au, yes, the minimum age for e-bikes is also 16 years old.
Okay, good. Now, we talk about safety measures, right? But do we ever check age of those people who are running e-bikes and e-scooters on the road?
Through the chair, I can refer that question to the Richmond RCMP as it's related more to enforcement.
Okay, good. So I would like to know, right? So, but because I don't think many people know about that, the minimum age is 16. I thought it was 14, but I think we have to do better education, or we have to have some enforcement. Now, the provincial government is extending this as a pilot project for 4 more years. So that means 7 years from the beginning. So what is the hesitation, or what are the problems that the provincial government is trying to address before making it into a permanent program?
Through your worship to Councillor Au, staff were surprised as well when we heard that it was another 4 years of a pilot project, as some council members have mentioned, in addition to the 3-year pilot, so it's a very long pilot. With that said, what we have heard from the province is that they need more time to review the data and collect more information and open it up to more communities in the province, making the process to participate a lot more streamlined to get more data. And part of their next phase is focused on the safety aspect of these devices in consultation with the health authorities and other organizations in the province to collect safety-related and preventative measures that can inform after the 4 years, the final Motor Vehicle Act regulations related to e-scooters.
Okay, so I hope that when it's appropriate time, we can have more updates from staff.
Absolutely. We provide an update to council on an annual basis regarding this program.
Okay, good, thank you. And my final question is on number 14, the single-pass cooling systems. Now, staff recommend a engagement process, assessment process, but how long will it take to complete the assessment and engagement process? Is there a timeline?
Through your worship to Councillor Hall, I think we'll get a better idea once we start going through developing the program. But the City of Vancouver and the Capital Regional District have gone through this in recent years, and it took them roughly 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, that's my concern, right? Because I see that it seems to take a long time. And my second question is, so since Vancouver has done it, and the Capital Region has also done it, so can we expedite our process? Since, I think perhaps, there are lessons or information that they have already gone through that we don't need to repeat the same process. So is any other alternatives that we can make this change faster?
Through your worship to Councillor, yes, we'll definitely be in contact with those jurisdictions and reviewing their programs and what they went through and their lessons learned in order to expedite our program as well.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I will support everything on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship. I'll be supporting everything on tonight's consent agenda. I do want to just make a comment about the e-scooters. So when the project first came out, we were excited about this as an alternative way for people to get around. Just like we've been supporting Hub to get our kids learning how to bike and be safe on their bikes, we want the opportunity for people to travel around Richmond differently. When the original pilot came forward, it was only going to allow people to rent the e-scooters and the e-bikes and the bike thing if they were over 19, because you can only rent something if you're an adult, so you can enter into a rental agreement. We got staff to work on this and reduce the age, and they were able to reduce it down to 16, because it seems completely ludicrous that you can go out, get your driver's license, buy a 400 horsepower supercar, rip around that and several thousand pounds of machinery, but you can't pick up a 15-pound scooter and go zip around and explore Richmond, be out with your friends, find a different way of getting around Richmond, and learn to get around Richmond without getting into a car. Instead of your first way of getting around Richmond being a car, we want you to get around on a bicycle or a scooter or some alternate method. So we got it reduced down to 16. I'd love to see it lower for kids to be able to get on bikes and scooters younger. Not everyone can afford to buy one, but many people can afford to get them. So if they're in conjunction with their parents, they can rent them at a younger age. If you go to places like Milan, they have little bikes in their bike share. You know, you don't have to be this, an adult to be able to use a bicycle and go for a little bike ride. So that's what we're trying to do here. So it's not that we're trying to enforce, or we think that you lack any ability between 15 and 16 or 12 and 17 to be able to ride an e-scooter around, especially these, they're fairly slow. You can buy faster ones, but these ones that we've got, they have slower speeds, and we'd like our kids to be able to get out. We'd like them to be exploring Richmond. We'd like them to understand the rules of the road. Of course, we want them safe and wearing helmets. The key is we don't want them first getting into a car. We want them to get around Richmond first and foremost and not get used to it, so that we have that alternate forms. We're building new bike lanes. We've got that new Steveston bike lane going in. I know it's driving everyone nuts, the traffic right now, but it's going to be good. You're going to see it'll be great, and we're really looking forward to it. So I'm looking forward to more of this pilot project, and I hopefully will be able to get the ages even lower, and maybe we can double down with our hub cycling and have some e-scooter training for the kids as well, because I think this is a huge opportunity for people to move around Richmond safely, cheaply, and with very little impact on the environment and on each other, because certainly we can learn to be careful, take care of one another, and go around each other. We don't have to run into each other. And when you're not protected by thousands of pounds of metal, you are a little more careful.
All right, thank you. With that, we're going to call the question on the consent agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. There was nothing removed from the consent agenda, so we'll go to the public announcements. And the very first announcement I have is one that is, I make the announcement with, it's kind of a bittersweet situation where we are encouraged by the record of employment of one of our general managers, and apparently he says he's going to retire this Thursday. Joe Ursig, after 26 years, is leaving our city, and he's our long-serving general manager of planning and development. He was hired in 1998 as the manager of development applications, and then he was promoted to general manager of urban development in 2004, and that became general manager for planning and development. And that was in 2006. And he's, of course, made very significant contributions to the growth and direction of our city and our urban environment, and helped to reinforce Richmond's position as a leader in planning and development. And that becomes apparent when you look at many of the projects that he spearheaded along, of course, with his very accomplished team. Not only is there the official community plan and the city center area plan and Steveston area plans and West Canby, the single-family lot size policy, the River Rock Casino development, the Oval and the district where we put together the master plan, the Canada Line, the Garden City Lands, the Tree Protection Bylaw, the City Cycling Network. Looked at house sizes in the agricultural land. We took steps to remove thousands of land use contracts. We have strategies not only for affordable housing, we are a leader in the region in that one, but also strategies for childcare and youth and homelessness and accessibility and seniors and amongst many others. He came up with a formula for the Capstan Station where the developments in the area of the Capstan Station, they levied a per unit amount, and that amount was put into the bank account so that we would have enough money for the Capstan Station, which is now 3/4 of the way built. The planning for the George Massey Tunnel, the secondary suite policy, the demolition recycling policy, and many, many others. It's just a very long and impressive list. Joe's strong leadership and resident focus will certainly be missed. We know he has a strong team in place that will continue to support council residents and businesses in ensuring Richmond is a leader in urban and environmental planning and development. So on behalf of the council and the city of Richmond, I want to extend our well wishes for what lies ahead for Joe Erceg and express our sincere thanks for your contributions that have made Richmond a place that people are proud to call home. So congratulations to Joe Erceg. And Joe, would you like to say a word or two?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for those kind words. It's been an absolute pleasure to serve and work at the City of Richmond. The time has really flown by. Frankly, I'd forgotten about, I guess, the list of projects and policies and plans. It's just been so much fun. I've appreciated all of the councils working with you, all of the staff. You have a tremendous staff throughout the organisation. With Serena's leadership, you have strength in every division. And I've also enjoyed working with the community. So I thank you very much. It was a pleasure to serve, and I look forward to watching Richmond flourish in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. Thank you again, Joe. And I'll just mention that, you know, with that kind of a resume of projects and strategies and plans that you've worked on, you and your team and the entire city have made a real change to the city of Richmond. And for that, we offer our congratulations. So all the best for your retirement. Then we have the Lulu Island Speaker Series. Our very popular Lulu Series, Arts in the City, returns for another season this March 28th, that's Thursday. There's a 3-part speaker series, hosts acclaimed guest presenters, and explores the relationships between art and our urban environment. Planning professionals, artists, designers, and anyone interested in the life and form of cities are welcome to attend these free evening talks in Richmond. The sessions take place at 7:00 p.m. in City Hall right here in the council chambers. So if you want more information on that, go to richmond.ca/Lulu Series. Then there's a couple of events coming up. First of all, this coming weekend, we have Easter. A reminder that the City Hall is going to be closed on Friday, March 29th until Tuesday the 2nd. However, a variety of city services will remain available online during that time, including utility and other payments, license renewals, and permit applications, so visit our website to find out more. And finally, we have the Richmond Cherry Blossom Festival. This is a very popular event that we've been able to have returned following the COVID situation. That returns to Gary Point Park on Sunday, April 7th from 11 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The festival brings the community together to enjoy the beauty of 255 Akabono cherry trees, which are in the park, and celebrate the cultural richness of Japan and our sister city friends in Wakayama. And there's a number of performances and craft sessions that are also available. The festival is free for all ages, and bring your families because I guarantee you, you will enjoy it. So go to richmondcherryblossomfest.ca and get more information. So with that, Madam Clerk, bylaws for first, second, third reading and revisions.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is the road closure and removal of road dedication bylaw number 10225 before council for the first 3 readings.
Move the recommendation.
We have a comment or question from Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question, just a comment here. Back in March 2022, I opposed this road closure and removal and road dedication in addition to the townhouse development that was being planned adjacent to it. And the reason for that, and same for Councillor Steves at the time as well, was we're trying to get the Spires Road area rental housing referral report to us before that approval of road closure. And then just today, we've received the Spires Road rental 10-year policy, an update on it. And to know that what we could have done then, and instead of allowing the townhouse development at the time, we could have got something that's similar to what's being proposed today and just adjacent to that, which is a 6-story development with 50% low-end market rental and 50% market rental. So the potential was there to not give away, but to close these public roads just for the townhouse development. Felt wrong then, and in my mind, it still is wrong today. Now, I'm not going to oppose this at this time. Things have gone on long enough, and that development is carrying on. So, thank you.
All right. May I have a motion then? Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And the administrative revision, Madam? Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried.
Move bylaw 10459.
Okay. The bylaw is moved. Is it seconded? Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Now, may I have a motion to resolve it in committee of the whole to hear delegations on non-agenda items? All those in favor, opposed, carried. And now I understand that Tony Wang, who's on the agenda here, is not able to attend, and so we have Jack Lewin Ho and Abel Yi. Are they here today? They are, but what? Well, I don't see them.
Move a rise and report.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? We are now adjourned. Thank you.